My first salary job was at a small town paper called the New York Times. And I was a copy boy. This was somewhere between my freshman and sophomore years. And my first duty at 9 a.m. in the morning was to take the paste pots from the city desk, and I don't remember what the other desks were, and scrape out the crusty old flaky paste and go to a shining vat of iridescent, new colloidal glowing stuff and go glop and slap it into the paste jar. And the paste jar had a little brush coming down the center from the top. And put those back on all the tables. In fact, I think it had a tube. That's right, it had a tube for the paste brush to go down. And the reporters would come in, they would type their stories, and then they would do cut and paste, which means that they would cut up the story and rearrange it. Rearrange it with all the pieces in sight, a parallel process, and then paste it in the new sequence. Now, when Xerox PARC created the modern computer world, you see, you have this crazy loyalty to Macintosh versus Windows versus Unix versus Linux. They're all the same. They all use the PUI, the PARC user interface, called by some the modern GUI. I would not dignify it with such a term. The PUI consists of a so-called desktop. Now, have you ever seen a desktop that was vertical? Yet the desktop of the computer is vertical. This is called a metaphor. A wastebasket or recycle bin in which you put whole objects that you wish to get rid of. So-called applications. What is an application? Well, let's back it up. There was a doctrine at Xerox PARC. They didn't like modal commands. A modal command is one where the cursor takes on a new meaning, or where the things start behaving differently. So they created the biggest modal commands of all. They're called applications. So when you go from one application to another, the cursor sure changes its meaning, but somehow that didn't fall under the purview of the modal command prohibition. Okay. Then you had the so-called clipboard. Now the clipboard, on Unix, or on Windows, or on the Macintosh, the clipboard is an invisible object that holds one thingy. Now, there are variations, but the point is that there are no standard variations. It holds one thing, and it's invisible. So, it's just like an ordinary physical clipboard, except that it's invisible and it only holds one object. And it has no other properties. So, it's not like a clipboard at all. That word is used as an excuse for this abominable mechanism that won't stack, that will lose things. The moment the phone rings, you lose stuff. That happens to me all the time. It happens to everybody. And they excuse it with this word clipboard. And worst of all, they've taken those holy words, cut and paste, which refer to the highest faculty of the human mind, which is the reconsideration of large-scale projects. And they change the meanings to hide and plug. Cut means hide this thing, paste means plug whatever you hit. And this has nothing to do with cut and paste in the old sense. And I have people argue with me about it all the time. It's really the same thing. When you do a cut and paste, no, it is not the same thing, and it is a loss to the human race. And it has deprived us of decent writing tools. Okay, I'll sit it up. No, okay, so let's, I shouldn't have talked about computers, but anyway, so let's see then.